Next thing that we have is called as static NAT. Any idea what is static NAT? Which is generally used to represent the private DMZ servers to public internet. This is very crucial. You should know where static NAT is really applied in the industries. Static NAT is not applied for the inside people to reach outside. Okay, static NAT. The disadvantage of dynamic NAT is very simple. I mean, you need to buy a lot of IPs, which is a lot of public IPs in order to work with your translation purpose. That is a very costly solution, right? That is the reason we don't use dynamic NAT. We have other solution like we have dynamic PAT, which I'll explain you in a moment. But static NAT, if you try to use, is basically one-to-one translation that is generally used to represent the private DMZ servers to public internet. Right, so this is very important thing that you need to encounter and know. So, for example, what happens now in our scenario? So, think that in my company, I've got some DMZ servers lying here. Okay, so say this is my web server. So this is my DNS server. So this is my FTP server. So they have got the respective IP from the private network. So 192.168.3 dot says this is 10, not 10, say 3.20. This is 3.30, say 3.40. Okay. So now you need to statically represent this private DMZ servers to public. So when anybody on the world of internet, if they want to access your company's FTP server, they want to browse to your company's FTP server. So generally they will not browse to the private IP, they will browse to the public IP. So at the end of the day, you have to actually map statically. You should have 3 public IPs, 3 unique public IPs, right, which should be mapped to these 3 unique private IPs. It is also a costly solution if you go with static NAT, because per server you need 1 unique IP in public. So right now what I can do is I can represent the servers like that on the outside. So I can say 192.168.3.20 represented outside as 192.1.20.cfun99. Likewise, 3.30 represented as 20.100 and say .40 represented as 101, just for fun, as an example. Right, so basically you are representing this private IPs statically on the outside as this public IP. So now what will happen? Now when the packet normally initiates, so generally this particular concept, when you apply static NAT, on this ASAs and you represent individually this private servers to public like that, so generally the traffic is initiated from your outside to reach to your DMZ servers, right? Most of the time it is that, but there are cases where the DMZ servers, if they want to go to internet for their OS updates and their antivirus updates, even they can do that. But 99% of the cases what happens is the traffic is initiated from outside to the DMZ. So the source IP generally can be any public IP, right? Any public IP, and the destination IP. Suppose if there is a user, whatever user, if that user wants to access, let us say, this web server, so basically he will come and access this particular public IP, which is 192.120.99. So this user, to reach your web server, will not browse to the private IP, he'll browse to the public IP of it using whatever random source port number is a random, and destination port number will be 80. Right, when the traffic reaches here from internet to the ASA, the ASA, first thing it will do is what? NAT. It will do NAT, okay, first thing. And after doing NAT, it will do what? Translate which IP address over here? So it will keep this the same. After translation, this remains the same, but this will be translated back to 168.3.20, and the port numbers will be same. Okay, so when this translation is done, so after NAT, what is the next thing you look for? Connection table. So once the traffic is initiated from outside to the DMZ, will you have a connection table? This is important. We need an ACL now. So we have to write along with the static NAT, we should write also an ACL that will permit what? This web traffic, right? Yeah. This web traffic. So we should write down an access list. So the source will be any in the access list. Destination would be what? What is the IP address? You will be writing the ACL for the original private IP, not for the public IP. Okay, because in the after NAT, because the ACL is processed when? After NAT, right? After NAT. So destination IP would be 192.168.3.20. And what is the port number? 80. So this ACL, if it is not there with the permit statement, the traffic will be blocked. If there is an ACL, it will bypass what? The security level, and the traffic will be look for the routing table. Routing table says, yes, I know how to reach it. I know the port. Traffic goes there, which is your web server. And when the reply traffic from the web server it goes, I mean, not a problem, right? Because it is going from where to where? High security level to low security level. So ACL is not looked upon there. Great, understood, right? All right, so keeping these things concentrated, we go with the syntax. So basically how the syntax would look like for your static NAT. It's very simple. You say this object network, give a meaningful name, and then generally you will be translating, individual users. So we'll use the keyword called as host. If you're translating the whole bunch of servers, I mean, you can use also network keyword, but generally use the host keyword. And then you will use here the high IP. High IP basically the high security level IP. Here in this case is our DMZ IP address. And then you will do NAT, which is based on the high interface name. So in that case, it is our DMZ, followed by low interface name, which is basically the outside. And the keyword is static for static NAT. And then you will be configuring the low IP, which is basically the public IP that you are using to represent the DMZ server. That's your syntax. You need to practice and remember that. All right. So I've got certain tasks, certain scenarios that I can give like that. Keep it simple. So let's say I've got a web server, okay, whose IP address is private IP address is 192.168, say 3.20. I want to translate this to 192.1.20.99, and this is a web server, so it is having a TCP port of 80, right? And also say TCP port of 443. So basically it is your HTTPS server. And likewise, say you have got an email server in your company, I just say SRV, all right, and his private IP is 192.168.3.30, and I want to translate this to 192.1.20.100, and basically this is on TCP, which is port number 25 for SMTP. And let's say to represent, I have got this router R3 in my DMZ3, and R3, let us say, to test the connectivity, I'm using R3. So R3 is having a private IP of 192.168.3.3, and I want to represent R3 outside as 192.1.20. Let's say 103 with multiple services. So I want to allow people to reach R3 using ICMP. I want people to reach R3 using Telnet. I want to allow people to reach R3 using SSH. Okay, so let's see how it is done. Understood, right, guys? I'm representing 3 devices of my DMZ3 to outside. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. So now on the solution part, so on the ASA, what we'll do, we'll create multiple objects. How many servers we have got? 3 servers. So we'll create multiple objects for each server. So object network. So this is web SRV as a name, and the host, basically the high interface IP. So it is 192.168.3.20. And then we do with the NAT, high interface name. So it is DMZ3. Low interface name, it is outside. I use the command static, and the low IP that I want to represent it on outside is 192.1.20.99. That's it. Likewise, I'll use the next syntax, so I'll just copy that. It will be easy for me. All right, so this is the next one is for the email server. Email. This IP address is .30, representing this with .100. And the next one that we have, it is for your router R3. So R3, this IP address is .3, and I'm representing, this outside with 20.103. Anything else I should do? I should also configure access list. Now, first access list is for the web server, right? Allowing any public users to access my web server on port number 80 and port number 443. On the ASA, how should I add the access list? Yep, a name. That's outside. Because traffic is coming from outside. Permit TCP any host Understood why private IP? This is very crucial. People miss us here. Because first you process NAT, then you process ACL in 9.series. So one more line for 443. And we will apply for which one? For SMTP, which is basically 3.30, and you'll apply what? 3 services for your R3. So we'll permit R3 is basically 3.3. We'll permit what? SSH. You will permit Telnet, and you will permit ICMP, which is echo, and here it is ICMP. I'm allowing only the echo request from outside to DMZ, so my echo reply will automatically go back from high security to low security. Look into the ACL and let me know if it is understandable to all of you. Now, to verify, how do you verify this? From R2, which is outside, right? From R2, ping R3 on which IP? On public IP.
20.103.
One thing. Then telnet and SSH. SSH is not configured. I mean, I'm just going with telnet and ping. Okay, so help me out. Access group name, direction. Good. Copy the ACL first. Going to the ASA. Applying the ACL. There we go. And then I'll copy the NAT stuff. So I'll copy it from here. So basically, it is overlapping with my dynamic pool, because in the dynamic pool also I given the same range, right? Remembered? So I should actually, omit this range. Which one? Understood what I'm trying to say, you guys? This pool is overlapping with my static NAT IPs. So basically, you need to go to object network, my pool, or you either change it here or there. This range that you have, which is 192.1.20.100. I think this is difficult because now it is linked to your inside NAT. So let's see if you do a no to that. It will not be deleted because this object is being used by the internal NAT over here. So what I should do is basically change it on the static NAT itself. So this is say 20 dot 63, 62, 61. Okay. So on the ACL, so this is 61, 62, 63, and on the ACL as well, I should write down. I mean, ACL is not a problem because I'm going with what? The private IP. That's the beauty of it. So you just do what? Copy the stuff from here. That's not a problem. It is not overlapping with the pool. Now, if you see show NAT detail, you'll find that you have translated, DMZ3 with 3 objects over here, and you can see that this is a static NAT that you have done, and basically you're translating this private IP to this public IP outside, respectively for all the 3. So your NAT is there. If you see show run access list, you have the ACL rightly there. So to verify, you go to R2, and from R2 you try to telnet to R3, but on the public IP. So public IP is basically 20.63. 192.1.20.63, and here we go, and you are inside R3. If you see show users, public has access to telnet. Likewise, if you want to ping, should ping the 192.1.20.63, that's public IP. In turn, this packet will reach to your R3. So you can see that by running a debug. So run a debug over here, debug IP packet details or debug IP ICMP. All right, and the moment you do a ping, you see the ICMP echo request replies coming to R3. So basically now your outside is trying to access your DMZ resources on the public IP. Any questions? Is that clear to everybody?